What's going on, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Found a quiet place for a little post-game victory recap here. Apologies, I don't sound too excited. I just don't have a voice. This just wrapped up the greatest 9-day bender that I could possibly imagine anybody going on. Just an incredible experience, first off. Obviously, we didn't get the win in San Francisco, but coming out here, getting here Friday night, just seeing the streets of Nashville covered in green everywhere you go, every bar you go, bands and DJs getting shut down for Fireman Ed doing his chants. It was just an absolutely wild scene. And like even cooler was, like the usual, like when we were in Carolina, we had so many people that, came up to us that know our podcast, and having that same kind of experience out here was just friggin' insane. Like just people coming up, buying shots, thanking me, Tyson, for just all the content and everything else. It's always very humbling when, you can put the chat to the actual person. So apologies, I'm running on fumes right now, but sorry for rambling. I'll get to the game. And you got to start obviously with Jermaine Johnson, just a crushing blow for the Jets. He was playing so well prior to the injury. When you factor in now, like without him, without Huff, without JFM, you still have no Reddick here. You're replacing so much talent, and that's why what Will McDonald was able to do today was so huge. 3 sacks. They desperately needed somebody to step up on that defensive line. I don't really know where Quinnen Williams has been. Got to look at the tape a little bit more and just see why he's not a little bit more disruptive. But Will McDonald had a huge day. Concerning issues, and obviously, again, you take the wins any way you can get them. You try not to, nitpick this early in the year. You want to put yourself in position once you get to November, December, and ultimately January to be competing for a playoff spot, or ultimately locking up, a division, trying to play for, home field advantage, things like that. So early in the year, you take the wins any way you can get them, but there are so many alarming things that as you're watching this game, from play calling, like obvious rundowns, they're throwing the ball, obvious passing downs, they're running it. The one drive with the run, I had no idea what was going on. I can't understand what the issue is getting play calls in either. It seems like they're breaking the huddle almost every time at around 10 seconds. They're getting the ball snapped at 1 or 2 seconds. They had to call timeout twice in the second half to avoid delay of games. They had, I think, at least 2 or 3 other delay of games. So that's something that they definitely got to get figured out. I'm not going to blame the lack of preseason reps for that, but something is clearly going on there. And then early on, it definitely seemed like Rodgers was just out of rhythm. The one intentional grounding, I have no idea what he was trying to do there. Seems like he was a little hesitant to get hit, or he almost had happy feet. Then towards the end, he started to get into a rhythm a little bit. Certainly doesn't help when guys aren't making catches. Mike Williams could have came down with one. He didn't do it. And, to this point, 2 games in, we really have absolutely nothing from Mike Williams. Lazard, he had a big third down catch. But really, you got to be featuring Garrett Wilson. He's the guy that, when you're really watching things develop, he's getting open and he's getting frustrated that he's not getting the ball a little bit more. So they got to find ways to be able to feature him. But nice to be able to get Breece Hall 7 catches out of the backfield. He's still an incredible weapon there. I heard the comment about, when a linebacker's on him to just throw the football, and it seems like Rodgers trusts him to do that. And that was obviously big, getting the 1 touchdown there. It's a clear mismatch anytime you try to put a linebacker with Breece Hall's speed. And then even, being able to get Braylon Allen some work also, he's an absolute truck. Him getting 2 touchdowns today was big, especially the game sealer in the fourth quarter. So nice to be able to have that, but defensively, there's still a lot of things that have to worry you. They did get some big stops throughout the day. Sauce did not look like himself. I was watching him, on a few different plays after the play, and then, getting in and out of the huddle a few different times. He kind of had his hands on his hips, looked like he was moving around a little bit gingerly. So I don't know if there's something more to, when he came out week 1 against the Niners. Was it really just, the wind getting knocked out of him, or was it, something more than that? But yeah, I mean, you had Mosley that also went down. Sherwood did a decent job filling in there. I saw Surratt on the field a little bit as well. But it just seems like this defense is already, pretty decimated between DJ Reed being out and, now Jermaine Johnson with, the Achilles. He's going to be done for the year. So it's like, is something going to get solved with Reddick? Because that would obviously be a huge addition right now to a defense that could certainly use some healthy humans. But it just seemed like they were also playing very soft. They still, struggle a little bit to stop the run, although that got much better, it seemed like, in the second half. It seemed like they did make some adjustments. They forced Levis into some mistakes. But certainly, again, Sauce on that one deep ball. I know Chuck Clark, he came, right across. I thought he had the interception there. I don't know if that kind of messed with Sauce, but, he gave up a few catches, which is not, what we typically see from him. Safeties, I'm a little bit worried about them as well, because we saw the Jets offense burn a lot of these guys deep quite a bit in practice, and we've seen that happen now a little bit early in the season as well. So I'm worried a little bit about the defense, a little bit about Saleh, because again, with those first 5 or 6 penalties that happened probably in the first quarter plus, I'm just watching him on the sidelines. And I see other coaches. I saw the defensive line coach. I posted the video on Twitter. He was screaming at Quinnen, at Jermaine Johnson, at McDonald, a whole group of guys when they came off the field for doing something wrong. And this was when the defense actually got off the field. He was going nuts at them. And I watched Saleh, and it just seems like there's never any player-to-coach interactions with him during the game. It is just all head down, either talking to refs, talking in the mic. It just seems like he's never engaged at all with the players. And that's very concerning, and also just how unprepared the team looked early in the game, not being able to really get into a rhythm offensively, and the defense giving up a lot of these long drives, these bend but don't break. At some point those are going to hurt you. So the days of the Jets being talked about as a dominant defense, I think all that conversation needs to get put to rest. When you think of it, a second-year quarterback, rookie head coach, your own coach being 0-6 in these short rest games, for the Jets to come out like that again, it's hard to just gloss over. But at the same time, it's like, this just wrapped up a 9-day vacation where I got to meet so many awesome people out here, the greatest city that I have ever tried to do a road trip at. So I'm just grateful that I got to experience this game, to be a part of these crowds, watching Ed shut down bars and, chants on rooftops and everything else. I'm completely without a voice right now, but I will do my best. Assuming there's no delays tomorrow, I should be on for the stream, so we can certainly talk all the Jets we want to talk and break down everything else, other things that I may have forgotten. But just great to get this win today. I know Garrett, I posted the one video. He seemed very frustrated at times early on, where he was getting open, and either, Rodgers just wasn't seeing him, didn't think he had enough time to get rid of it. I don't know what it was. But, second half things did look a little bit better. I do think the offense is going to start to get into a rhythm a little bit. Rodgers still had the 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Overall was efficient, not great. So I think things are going to get much better offensively, especially as the offensive line starts to gel and they get a little bit more cohesive. But with all these injuries to the D-line and Mosley now, and who knows how long DJ Reed's going to be out, you really start to worry a lot about the defense, and you start thinking about the offense as needing to be the strength of the Jets, where you got to be on the field 35 minutes, you got to have long drives. You can't let your defense be out there for these 11-12 play drives, where it just seems like, especially on third downs, it just always seems like they have different struggles there, and they can't get off the field when they need to. It sucked once the Jets actually took the lead. We gave it right back and ultimately needed that late touchdown from Braylon Allen to seal it, although credit to the defense for ultimately buckling down in the red zone and getting the job done there and getting some pressure, although the lack of containment on Levis on that drive, and even on the one touchdown earlier to Ridley, I think he had that long run right before it. That was definitely frustrating. So they let him off the hook so many times against better quarterbacks, against a Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson. Those guys would absolutely scold the Jets defense right now. But again, the goal isn't to be playing your best football in September. It's to be playing your best football in December and into January in the playoffs. So hopefully this is a stepping stone and a learning moment for the New York Jets. Although I'm tired of saying that with this coaching staff. I think there's a certain bar that needs to be raised for how this team comes out, how they play, how they prepare, how they start games, how they execute, taking chances offensively, the conservative playbook. Just take some shots downfield, feed your best player. Garrett Wilson should be getting 12 to 15 targets a game, the same way that Devontae Adams did with the Packers back in the day. So we'll see what happens. Try not to be too frustrated about it. Again, we still got the win, so it probably sounds stupid to be ranting, but I do feel like the Jets were just such a better team than the Titans, where it shouldn't have gone down to the wire like that. But again, you take the wins any way you can get them. So thank you again to everybody that said hello, everybody that we met up at the bars, everybody that came out to Barstool Nashville last night, and then to Old Red this morning, 8 o'clock for the tailgate, the pre-tailgate before the game. And everyone that bought shots, everybody that's been tuning in, just incredibly overwhelming, hearing all the support and everything else. So apologies for ranting, but just a very emotional and a very awesome trip. Can't wait to get back to New Jersey. See you guys all again Thursday night, and hopefully talk to all of you tomorrow on the live stream, 8 o'clock.